What's up again, guys? Welcome back to Building Better DJs. We're the Beat Junkies. What's up, y'all? Babu?
Mr. Choc, hey.
Yo, what's up, Melo-D?
What's up, guys? D Styles.
Coming to you live from the Beat Junkie Institute Sound. Remember, if you haven't subscribed yet to our podcast, subscribe everywhere you listen or watch our podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, all that good stuff, comment. For our record pool, www.beatjunkies.com. For our online school, beatjunkies.tv. And for everything about our school here in Glendale, Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, beatjunkiesound.com.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, guys. So today, our topic is DJ dads.
Say it the way you were saying it earlier.
Yay.
DJ dads.
There we go.
So it was a no-brainer to do this episode because obviously four of the dads in the crew.
Yep.
Shouts out to everyone in the crew, but Shortcut is another father in the crew. He's not around here, but shouts out to Short as well. But we know a bunch of DJ dads. We're DJ dads ourselves and at different stages of fatherhood as we speak.
Yeah, for sure.
And today we want to just talk about our experiences with being dads and being DJs at the same time and how we balanced it, or do we balance it? Or, how does it go, especially with children being at different ages and you being at different points of your career. I guess let's start with you, Choc, because you're the most OG out of all of us.
Yeah, man. For me, I became a father at the age of 21, and of course I had a boy, my son, and it was one of the most beautiful things that ever happened to me in my life. You know what I'm saying? Definitely life-changing. At the same time, I was still kind of coming into my own as a DJ. So it was definitely something that I had to figure out, like, okay, what's my next move? At the same time, the way that my life worked at that time was that I found out that my girl at the time was, my baby's mom was getting ready to have my son. And then ended up losing my job. So, and I was still DJing on the side at the same time. So it was a little kind of like a life-changing moment. I was happy, but also sad at the same time because I needed to figure out how I was going to make money. So that was definitely the main hustle. But I was definitely and still very proud to be a father. And
I think I can relate. You and I are the ones who were young fathers.
Yes, for sure. 21. That was for me. 91.
Me too. I was 22 when I had my firstborn, and it was a definite struggle at that age because 22. Like, oh my God, I was still
a kid yourself.
Yeah.
A dumb kid at that. To be honest with you, dumb, stupid 22-year-old kid. To be honest with you, and in retrospect now, I imagine, any 22-year-old having a 21-year-old having a kid, it's a hard situation.
Yeah, you barely figured out who you are at the time, and so like for that moment to happen, like, oh, I'm getting ready to have a baby, like, again, just trying to figure out what direction I was going to go in life, trying to figure out if I was going to become a DJ. I mean, I was already a DJ at the time, but trying to figure out if I was going to continue on with that or now start really looking more for 9-to-5s to support my family that was getting ready to start happening. So it was a big life decisions for me at that time.
Me too. And, I was definitely blessed with how the cards fell for me, but, a lot of things played a factor, having, a support system.
Yeah.
Opportunities came up that enabled me to continue DJing and not have to, leave the game. I actually, things were happening. So it was a good time. And actually, I was super ecstatic to be a dad.
Yeah, me too.
But I think I also channeled it in a way that I pretty much have zero choice here. There's nothing, there's no failure here. I need to put my head down if I really want to chase my dreams and still be a responsible father. It kind of lit a new kind of fire probably I needed, on me that I needed in my life.
Same here, for sure.
It gave me a little structure, gave me a little bit of something to kind of look, to just keep me honest and keep me on my craft and on my job.
It definitely brings focus into your life, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I have to admit too, I was able to still do what I was able to do, go on tour, finish off battling with you guys and us still gigging together and things made sense. and I was still able to, be there present as a father and financially, physically, whatever, emotionally, and be there as a dad. But it was hard. It was very hard, especially the early years. I might have spent, like, out of a year, I might spend 4 to 6 months on the road. And I remember times where I'd miss even, many times, and you guys can probably speak on this too, just like purely just missing time with your kids being away. DJing is a big thing we all have to deal with as DJs. And so that impacted me very hard because that was the most touring I did, was during that time when when my oldest was small, and I was doing a lot of touring where I was on a major label. So I remember missing whole sports seasons at times, or, you know what I mean? I'd miss a whole first semester of school or first day of school. But, I tried to make up for it and be there and never miss certain holidays or birthdays and doing all that. But it definitely was a struggle in the best possible sense, though.
Yeah.
How about for you guys?
I was going to say, just to add what you were saying, I think I can definitely see that side of it. I think we can all relate to that, like just not being physically like available sometimes. But the flip side of that coin, I've always felt, is that, with what we do, like we're probably more flexible than most, because if we're not on the road or out somewhere DJing, or doing something DJ related, we're pretty much at home. You know what I'm saying? So, which is kind of cool too. You know what I mean? So we kind of have these sporadic, not really necessarily like consistent type schedules, but it does allow for a lot of flexibility. I feel like than a regular 9 to 5 would. So that's kind of a plus,
I definitely have to give props to my baby's mom though too, for holding it down, because I worked at Power 106, so I was gone 6-7 days out the week all the time. By the time I get home, the kids would be asleep. So definitely props to the baby's mom, and for holding it down that whole time. I was working, majority like 13, 14 hours a day, and then coming home, and she would already like gave them dinner, help them with their homework, all that stuff. So that was very important also too, becoming a young father, to have that support system at home while I'm at work, grinding.
Definitely. Yeah. Shout out to all the moms right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Out there, like, that's no joke. Yes. Yes.
And thank God for grandparents. I think all of us can relate at whatever stage you're at. It's a blessing to have grandparents.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I think that was a big thing that enabled me to continue doing my job, I was blessed enough to have 2 sets of grandparents who were very present in, both of my children's lives, even up to now. And just support systems in general, guys, I think are really important things to speak about that you can't take for granted. And maybe you had them as a kid, but you didn't even realize it as being the one, having those things for you. I didn't, I don't remember having that. I remember going to a babysitter a lot. I remember being a latchkey kid. So now on the flip side, being a parent, having family that's around and present all the time, it's such a big deal. It gives me such a peace of mind being, thousands of miles away, or, long stretches. It's good to know my mother's there, or my ex's mother and father are there. So, but guys, around the table. Sorry,
man, I had a hard time adjusting to being a dad just because. So I became a dad in my early 30s, and for me, it was tough for me because I was so used to sleeping late, like working on music from midnight to 4 or 5 a.m. and then sleeping and waking up at 2 in the afternoon.
Right.
And I always felt like that was my most creative time. And then when my daughter was born, everything changed, and for some weird reason, I thought I could still live this life, still work on music, and do all that and go out with my friends, and but nah, man. It forced me to grow up really quick. And you're right, structure, and my whole purpose changed. Like I saw life differently.
Let me ask you something about that. Did you have a moment where it clicked for you, like, damn, I can't do that anymore? Was it a moment, or?
Yeah. And it was funny. That was around the time when poker was starting to blow up, online poker. And I really got into it. I used to talk to Melo about poker all the time.
Right, I remember this.
And so I would go online and play these online tournaments, and and kind of rock the baby to sleep or whatever, and she wanted to be held. Right. And I'm like, damn, man, I can't, what the hell, man. So I had to give all that up, man. Yeah. And my output became way lower as far as me putting out stuff, and and at that time I was the breadwinner of the family, and I wasn't really doing gigs as much. So it was tough. It was tough for me to find that balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That's interesting though, because I feel like what you're saying too is crazy, D, because I'm thinking too, in my experience, that transition, I remember a certain time. I remember being I think my firstborn wasn't even maybe like 1, not even 1 maybe.
Yeah.
And, I remember I had my little 2-bedroom apartment, and, I was like, oh, I remember I think I asked, cursing some of the homies to come over and cut it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. It didn't
Right.
seem weird to me at the time, I remember they all, he brought over a few more homies than I thought. He came over, they had 6-packs and, enhancements and you know what I mean? They came through. They came in. I'm like, guys, yeah, come on in. All right, take your shoes off. You gotta just kind of like,
Walk quietly.
And everyone's tiptoeing in and like,
Yeah, yeah.
like, hey, let's cut it up. Okay, well, you know what? Let's turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like the fader clicks are louder than the actual. Dude, they must have hung out for like 15 minutes before. We're just like, you know what, Babs, this just doesn't even. And for me, I think that was a moment where I had that realization of being like, okay, I can't really hang out like I used to.
Right. Yeah, that's
Like,
part of it for sure.
I got to grow up here.
Yeah.
I got to get off the PlayStation. You know what I mean? There's just the things that you just have to kind of like let go of and prioritize. Because if you want time for yourself as a parent, you sleep less, you wake up earlier, you have to make use of those moments of when the kids are at school, or they're asleep, and now you're on the clock. You don't have 12 to 5 a.m. to get lost in our art.
Right.
You might have 30 minutes today to work on X, Y, Z and knock out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have to say, I have to applaud both of you guys, because I feel like PlayStation, staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning, I did that all throughout my 20s. And you guys, like, having, children at an early age, being in your early mid 20s, like, really stepped up and, like, you know what I mean? Like, just took care of what needed to be taken care of. So yeah, that can't be an easy thing, man. Like for sure.
And it was cool, man. I mean, to be honest with you, like I think like I had an outlet. I've always been like, gave myself perspective. I'm like, hey, I still get to DJ. I still get to go on the road. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm on the road and I'm not like contributing. I'm holding it down. So, it's still, so I always was like really grateful for the opportunity I had to be able to do what I love and support my family. And I love what you said earlier, Melo, because, I do have to say that the artist lifestyle, it enabled me to spend a lot of times with my kids that I probably wouldn't have had if I was at a regular 9 to 5. Right. Yes, I might miss the summer months because we got to go play festivals or whatever in the summertime. But for the most part, when I'm home, I'm Mr. Mom with both my kids. I'm the one that takes them to school and do the homework, and I'm cooking meals and doing XYZ around the house and doing music when I'm not. And then I squeeze in my music, while the kids are doing their homework or whatever kind of style. So yeah, you are right. You just. This is that balance we're talking about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let me ask you this. Is it wrong? Because for me, I would look forward to the moments where it's like, hey, we need diapers, we need milk. And I go to Target and I kind of get lost for an hour or two. You know what I mean? Just kind of walk around.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? Is that bad?
Get some
There's nothing wrong with that at all, brother.
Get some fresh air, yeah.
Right.
Make the drive a little longer.
Yeah.
Take the long route.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't feel too bad.
No, I did that a lot. I did that a whole lot. Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, I mean, you guys remember me early on.
Dude.
If I was at Mello's house, it's good.
Dude, that was a classic.
Yeah, it's a good chance. I was apparently at the store.
Yeah. True story.
And Mello lived like 45 minutes away from me, which was even worse. Like,
yeah, I was just gonna knock on the door. We'd be chilling at the house and just get knocked like,
right.
oh, what? Babs.
Oh,
I'm supposed to be at the store,
he
man.
lives like 45 minutes. He's like,
surprise.
hi guys, I made a quick trip to the store. I just thought I'd stop by.
Right.
Yeah, let's hang out real quick, guys. I'm supposed to be at the store.
Yeah, you're a
so.
G for that, man. Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, one of the perks for me being a parent and being a DJ at the same time is that I used to work at the radio station, so there was always like promotional things that would come through the station all the time. So my kids got a chance to be at every movie premiere.
Wow.
Anything that was happening at Disneyland or Magic Mountain or something, they were always there for. So there were a lot of perks of being a parent and being in the music industry and the DJ at the same time for my family.
That's
what I'm saying?
dope.
So that was fun. Yeah, that was fun.
Dope.
No,
Yeah.
that's super tight. No,
For sure.
Yeah, and I think too, guys. Going back to this balance we talk about. It is a hard transition to make, and I know for a lot of our viewers out there, there's probably a bunch of you that are fathers and mothers, and or getting ready to go down that path or are well on that. And I think it's always about that balance and really taking into account like, we're talking about DJing. And for us, being professional DJs, it was a lot for us to say, yeah, we're going to be a parent and we're going to continue to DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm going to continue to be an accountant at this accounting firm and raise a family. Especially for me, like I think me and Choc, we did not plan to
No, not at all.
to be fathers and have seedlings at that point in our life. But
Not at all.
you know, we're really lucky and blessed to do that. But you know, I want us to like kind of like delve into kind of like maybe things that we do to keep the balance. You know, especially you two guys. You guys are pretty young. Your kids are still pretty young. You know, I'm at me and Choc are both in this place, and we'll talk about when your kids are older. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But let's all draw from like in the heat of, you know, little younger kids, you know.
Yeah, you know, for me, what I'm noticing, and for everybody out there, I have 3 kids, 10, soon to be 9 and 5. So like you said, relatively young, getting a little older. But what I'm noticing, and obviously you guys are veteranos, you know what I'm saying, your kids are grown and raised, and I'm noticing that there's a constant adjustment. So what I'm saying is that, so if you guys all remember, there's a newborn phase, right? Where it's like no one's getting any sleep. You know, everyone, you're up every couple hours.
Taking turns.
Just the newborn, that's a 24/7. I mean, you're just on it. And then fast forward to say like maybe 5 years later when they start school. So obviously the newborn phase, like that's probably like you're waking up throughout the night. So that's not the phase to be working from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m., right? Because you're going to be up. And then what I'm noticing now is like when my kids started school, my days, I kind of have to compartmentalize my time. So I know that I have to bring them to school. You know, when I finish wrapping up my morning, I can be back at the house by like 9:30, and I have, you know, a few hours to work, and then I got to dash back and pick them up. Then there's some after school stuff. So I have kind of like 2 parts of my day. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's going to change again in another 5 or 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like maybe I'll have the first part of the day, and then from the afternoon on, I'll be wrapped up, you know, doing whatever, something with them. So I just noticed there's always this kind of shift. It's not like this, you know, constant parenting schedule that
No, it's always shifting. You're right.
But somehow, we all do it. You know, we all manage. We all manage to just find a way and maximize. You know, make the best use of that time. Whether it's an hour here, 4 hours there, 15 minutes there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's just a lot that goes into it. But yeah, that's been my observation. Like,
I would always make plans. Like if I knew I was going to be home for, you know, 2 or 3 days, or if I knew I was getting off work early, would make those plans around the family. So whatever. If we wanted to go to dinner, if we wanted to go to the beach or whatever it may be, you know, we try to like, it all worked around my schedule, which I was blessed to have happen. But at the same time, I still try to give equal family time back, quality time back to the family whenever I had a chance. And that was important, very important.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like you guys were saying, like, just, you don't really want to, like now that my kids are getting older and, you know, the things that come along with that, like I look back and, there was, like I said, I think we all have this where it's like there was things that we missed out on or that we couldn't be there for. Just like, dang, I wish I could have, you know, been there for that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to have any more moments like that moving forward. So yeah, like you said, Choc, it's very important to, you know, just like spend as much time as you can.
You know, the whole structure thing, you know, I actually like it now. I didn't like it in the beginning because it forced me to have to be creative at certain times. And this is your window of opportunity.
Right.
But now, you know, like how you said, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm busy with the kids. I'm dropping them off at school. Right. And then from 9 a.m. to about 2 p.m.
Little decent window.
That's my window, yeah. And it's nice because I'm either returning emails, I'm working on stuff, but I'm focused, you know what I mean? And I know that I have
no distractions.
4 or 5 hours to get something done, bang out a record, whatever, mix something down. And I'm way more productive, you know what I mean? I'm not maybe as creative as I used to be back in the day where I could work on music at, 3 a.m. But, in the morning, I do feel more focused and more sharp.
Because your time is limited.
Yeah.
And you're fresh too.
Right.
You're fresh. You just woke up. You're off like hopefully
drinking
a good night's sleep.
And,
yeah.
No, I'm right there with you, dude. I love the structure of. And it's funny. You get to the point where it's like, man, when the kids go on break, it screws you up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, the kids are on Christmas break. Oh my God,
Big
we're all
time.
Yeah. My advice for all parents with young kids, worst case scenario, just give them Benadryl.
No, don't do that.
I'm just kidding, guys. That's just parenting with Babs. That's a whole other separate podcast we're gonna have later down the line.
That's a solo podcast.
Don't associate these guys with my parenting style at all.
No.
It's a very unique style, But on a serious note, it actually is. I have to give a lot of props to my kids, Nico and Micah. they've seen me live this they've lived this alternative lifestyle with me, obviously, for their whole lives. And even up to now, they're very understanding, and they actually understand that we're just a home of creatives, and we are a home, we're a home of people who work for themselves.
Right.
And they understand there's sacrifices to be made, with the choices of the lifestyle that we want to live. And I'm lucky to say that both of my sons are very creative. Nikko does music himself. Shout out to Nikko Beats. And my youngest, Micah, like his outlet is skateboarding, and that, like that's his scratching. And for them, they understand, that Pops is creative, and they understand that Maricel is creative. And we're very passionate. We don't go and clock in like everyone else's parents. So they're very understanding that we live and work these odd hours and have to make certain sacrifices. But I think that's the hardest thing. That's something for our audience out there to really realize. It's not luck that we've been able to continue DJing and then still have all these blessings, like being parents and having families. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, Melo already talked about it. Like, I gave up, as petty as it sounds, I gave up something like video games a long time ago.
Right.
I gave up going out and having a beer with my boys many years ago. I mean, like, we hang out, guys, but we work together. Unfortunately,
we hang out when
maybe
work.
we get out. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
and maybe in the holidays we'll do something, to hang out and have a little Christmas get together with, with our wives and everything. And, but for the most part, we're lucky we have that because we work together, but there's so much that we sacrifice because, working for yourself, being an entrepreneur or a DJ or whatever it is. So let's talk about, like, personally, some of the sacrifices sometimes that we have to make to, like, be able to take care of our kids, but still be DJs,
Yeah, for me lately, it's been like the last month. It's been just keeping kind of those hours you were talking about, the late night hours. So like after the kids, everybody goes to sleep, which is usually 9 o'clock, 9-ish. I've been up till 4:30, like the last probably month. And I think the reason, I pay the price the next day, waking up a little bit later than normal.
Yeah.
But it really, like D was, like you were saying, like it really helps me because it's just like I can just totally get in the zone. There's really no distractions. There's nothing else going on or that I have to be immediately attentive to.
Right.
And I can just I just flow better that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of nice to have just that quiet time in your own space to be able to just work and know that no one's going to come ask you for something, or I'm saying something's going to come up. So
get your own.
You know what?
You know where it's at.
You know what I feel like is, as your kids get older, and they go to elementary school and they get older. Oh, sorry. They get older. You kind of get your life back, right?
Get a little bit of freedom back.
Yeah. So you can have that late night thing as they get older. You know what I mean? And you get sort of that that old lifestyle back.
I think the biggest thing too, though, guys, I think, like, on top of making sacrifices to continue to do what you love and to still be present and be a good parent, is also you have to consider working smarter, not harder, and being disciplined. I think what you're talking about, Melo. Sometimes I think for me, the hard part is saying I should be in bed and wake up early. I'm charged. Because I know where you're at. I want to say, like, 2 years ago, I might have been like, oh shoot, there's my time. 12 to 2, 12 to 3 a.m. is my time.
Right.
But me getting older, like, one of those nights cost me the next 3 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've figured out that, like, the structure, thank God, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I know, like, maybe I'll squeeze an hour in and I'll be in bed by 12:30 or something.
Right.
Because I got to be up by 6 o'clock to, to get the kids going for school. And then I'll have that time once Micah's at school. I got that little window of time in the morning for myself. Right. You know what I'm saying? To do whatever I got to do. Right. So I think it's about, like, like, for those of you who are unorganized, it helps you get organized. It's a blessing to have that structure, and you don't have to look at it like you're losing anything.
Right.
I think you just have to wrap your head around it that, like, if you want it all, you just got to bust your ass.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like straight up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for me, when my kids were in school, that's when I would actually do all my work before I actually go into work and to the radio station at the time when they were little. So I'd go to power maybe about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't come home to maybe like 8 or 9 at night. So during that time when my kids would go to school, that's when I'd get most of my work done, as far as like preparing my records for my noon mix, my traffic jam, and whatever else, and even gigs for later on that night. I would prepare all my stuff while they were at school, because I couldn't get nothing done when they were there at all, because you got to give them that quality time. They want daddy's attention. They want to spend time with their father. So I definitely was always about hanging out with my kids, but very important to get that work done while they were at school.
That's
For
dope.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you guys this: did you guys ever do career day for you guys as kids? You know, being asked to go to the school and talk about what you do.
I participated in other ways, like several times, but never a career day.
Okay, I'm just curious because our kids have to explain to their friends or their teachers what
we do.
what we do.
Yeah.
And it's just, that always trips me out. And having to explain that at least for me, I'm even a more niche DJ where it's like, all I do is really just scratch. I don't really do clubs too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so to explain that,
Right.
like, what do you do?
Like what
You're
you're
a
talking
DJ?
about.
So you had to do that?
No, I've never done career day. But, when you do go to like, the open house school and you meet other parents.
Right.
And then they ask you, oh, you're a DJ? What clubs do you do? And I'm like,
Right.
no, I don't really do that.
Right.
Yeah,
And you have to
you
kind
have
of
to
do the whole
really-
spiel. I don't know.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had those conversations a few times.
Yeah.
Some people get it though. Some people understand.
Some people
Like,
get it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Some people
it's
just-
gradually gotten a little different with the internet too.
Right.
People like control and figure who's who and who what. Like, oh, he's the king of Zamunda. I had no idea. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's happened to D all the time. Like,
Right.
you're like, oh man, Mr. Quasito. Then they find out he's D styles. Like,
Right.
oh my
It's like,
god,
oh,
he's over here in Russia.
Yeah.
doing an exhibition. Like, that
for
must be some
sure.
weird shit.
Right.
I do have a funny parenting story though that I love to tell, and I remember going to an open house.
Okay.
Of course for young Nico, he must have been I think a sophomore. Was he a freshman or sophomore? Freshman or sophomore in high school, and obviously it was like the start of one of those years. And we go to an open house, and here we are. Just like class. You run through every period. The bell rings. You meet. You got 10 minutes, 15 minutes with each teacher to give them a little spiel, and
Right.
you move on, and you see their whole schedule. So I finally get to his science class, and you know what? I could be wrong. Maybe this is junior high, not high school. I'm sorry. This is either 7th or 8th grade. I'm so old. But I get to his science class, and right away, his teacher comes up to me and he's like, Babu, mad respect, man. I just want to let you know everything that you've done. It's really influenced me, man. I said, it's amazing having you here, man. It's so
Right.
crazy. And come to find out, it was Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jared Jackson was
What up, Jared?
What's up, Jared?
Shout out to Jared.
Was now he's been a teacher. He's been a teacher to both Nico and Micah, and so just kind of a funny parenting story, like
it is.
how far down the timeline we are now. Where we're at a generation where one of Nico's teachers and Micah's teachers used to come to Fat Beats.
Right.
His father used to bring him to Vermont, and he used to come and spend all of his allowance
Yeah.
Damn.
coming and hanging out at Fat Beats, buying doubles of everything. And
Yeah.
and now, if you guys don't know, Jared Jackson's one of the craziest DJs on the planet right now.
Yeah, he's dope.
That's
Wow.
our little bro right there. But he is actually an amazing teacher who left a real impact on both my kids very positively.
That's crazy. Small world, huh?
That's
Yeah,
dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
and that was like a cool parenting moment I had. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So speaking of like
Yeah.
when they have to figure out what you do, that was actually a lucky moment where like, damn, one of his teachers was actually cut from the cloth, one of us. So it
That's
was
awesome. man.
pretty cool. But shouts out to Jared Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Babs, like me, your son does music, and my son also does music also too. How was it for you? I remember being on the radio and you actually bringing Nico up to the station.
Oh, my
and,
God.
And I'm interviewing your son who was rapping at the time, and now he does music. He's a superstar producer. He's really, really dope. And I remember when my son was small, he would always pull up a chair to the turntables to get on the turntables, and now he's a DJ. So how
That must be crazy.
yeah,
man.
it really is a crazy feeling, man, because I never forced anything on my son at all. He just found interest in it as he was little.
Yeah.
And as he got older, he wanted to do it more and more and more. So yeah, of course. And now he asks me for direction and advice all the time. And he comes here to the school to learn even more techniques now. So it's a beautiful feeling. But I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel knowing that your son is like on the verge of like really like just putting out some class? He's already putting out classic joints, but now he's like he's in the game to win it, like just like
Yeah.
you were at that age.
Shouts out to Thurston though. That's Shoot, Christian's like our 8th student here at school.
Yeah,
actually, it's really amazing.
My boy. I'm really proud of him.
Really dope having him in class, but and he's over there killing it. But it's a weird thing with Nikko. Nikko can DJ, but he's definitely. I remember it makes sense why he's a producer now. I remember him just being around when production was my main goal. Like I was just in first, second dilated album.
I remember that phase, yeah.
So I was just losing my mind just in records and digging and sampling
making
and
beats,
trying to contribute on the album side with dilated stuff. And I still have vivid memories of Nikko would just hang out in my studio while I would make beats and just play on the floor, and he would have no problem hanging around and just being around it. Early on, when I couldn't afford a babysitter, Nikko used to come to Eb's house where we had our first original dilated studio, and he used to come to the studio with me every day.
Wow, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
He was literally
bring him with you,
like
3 years old, or
2, 3 at the most, and the first couple albums, it wouldn't be weird for him just to come and and that's why he's very close to his Uncle Eb and Uncle Rock. They've played like a really big like mentor role in Nikko's life a lot too. So, but it's been really cool, man, and I think like I said, Nikko could DJ, but like he's super into production and rhymes. He's been making music since he was 5. He had his own studio since he was 10 in his own room. So it's cool. It's just normal. Our house is just normal like that. Like just the house is just filled with records and there's usually 2 of us banging away, and Micah too, because Micah his main passion is skateboarding, but he also plays bass and plays guitar and plays drums. So like it's not weird for 3 rooms in our house just to be like there's like alternative rock playing here, future beats over here, boom bap in one room, like so it's just like a real cool creative energy in my house. And I'm just glad my my kids are creatives and and they can. It was one thing I remember being a kid, and you guys tell me this. I almost felt like I didn't feel like with my parents, my parents didn't like to show how they are to other people to me. It's like they were a different person to me. Like there was enough of an
At what age? At what age?
At all ages. I just think like the generation gap, because I was a young parent.
Right.
I feel like maybe my parents and me had a bigger gap, and maybe there was a little bit of a generation gap, and it was really hard for them to relate to me.
Okay.
I had my mom was very, very cool, and she understood. When I wanted to like not tie my shoes and wear fat laces and do dumb shit like that, she was the one who would let me experiment and put peroxide in my hair. And then my dad was the one. My dad was the one very strict and like I'd be in trouble for anything. Right. So, but I also remember like there was this I could never see them as their peers saw them.
I understand what you're saying.
Like I didn't go to work with my dad. I didn't get to go to work with my mom. And us having this weird lifestyle, like you said earlier, Choc, touching on what you said earlier, I've been bringing Nikko to the studio since he was a baby. I bring him to concerts. He saw how people saw Chris and how people saw Babu, and I felt closer to my kids like that. And I love that they were able to relate. Yeah. And I guess that's one of the perks of being a younger dad. And a lot of times people think being a younger parent, it is hard, but there is something cool about it where, my son keeps me young, and he's always kept me young. My sons, both of them. And I think I'm a little bit more relatable. I mean, me and Nikko just the other day, it's crazy. We just talk about samples and, how do you sidechain, Nikko? And we just talk about, production stuff.
That's the same way me and my son are. We talk about DJing techniques now, whether it be scratching or music that just came out, somebody's new edit that just came out. What are you playing in the club? Like I'm actually having these conversations with my son now, which is crazy to me. Same kind of conversations I have with you guys. Right. But now I'm having it with my son.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
fucked out.
And they used to live in our balls.
Yeah. You were from my sack, man.
Oh my God. All right, you gotta edit that part out, Mo. Sorry.
Don't edit it out. Leave that in there.
Hey, but Choc, though, you guys recently just did a gig together, right?
We've done a couple of gigs together now. We did one for Father's Day at my monthly that I do called Soul Source, which was amazing. And we did another one at, I want to say in downtown Los Angeles. But yeah, just DJing with him is amazing because, again, like he used to always watch me and like be really intrigued when I was DJing and practicing, and he was like a little kid. So whenever I would leave the room, and this is when me and C- were living together, C Minus's son OJ also too would be over, so they would both take turns getting on the chair, getting on the turntables, just to mess around and make sounds. Not even really doing anything, but just to make sounds. You know what I'm saying? But that's how interested they were in the craft itself. And now look at both of them. They're now OJ is a producer and make a beat maker, and my son is DJing now. So yeah, it's a crazy feeling.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
For me, I mean, my kids, my two oldest, I remember when they were like 2 and 3 years old, they used to come in when I'd be practicing and they'd jump up and get the step stool and mess around or whatever. And they've kind of moved away from that. But again, they're 10 and 9. But they've, it's been interesting because they've kind of gravitated towards the creative arts. So they've been very active with their their elementary school musicals the last 3 years. And it's pretty thorough. Like, it's pretty intense. Like, there's a script, they have lines, there's 4 nights, performance nights.
So they got to rehearse.
They play piano. So they definitely have musicality, definitely as part of their youth. And like I said, just being on stage. And so it's cool. I can kind of have not DJ conversations, obviously, but kind of I can relate to you guys because I have talks with them about auditions. Maybe they didn't get the part that they really wanted to be cast for, and just kind of some of the things that happen when you're in show business, you know what I mean, or entertainment, or doing anything creative. So we have a unique connection in that sense, which is really cool. Dope. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's funny. So my daughter, my second oldest, Zoe, I know she's watching. Hi, Zozo. She just got cast for the musical Annie, the elementary school.
Oh, nice.
And I was, so I was going through my storage and getting records, and I actually found my copy of the Annie, the album, the soundtrack,
Dope.
And she's doing Hard Knocks Live. So I played it for her, and she was like, "Oh, that's cool." So we spent some time in the studio, and you know what I mean. So it's cool. It's cool to have that kind of a connection.
What
with
a crazy feeling, right?
It is. It's bugged out. Yeah.
What was crazy too is that my daughter had showed no interest at all, and now I'm a grandfather. So my granddaughter now, she's 2, and ever since she was 6 months old, if my daughter needed a break from the baby for a second, or needed to go to the store or something, I would take care of my granddaughter, holding her, and I would practice and just mess around with music on the turntables. At 6 months old, she was already looking at the turntables. Now she's 2. Every time she comes to the house now, she's doing the same thing that my son was doing.
What?
She pulls up the chair.
Yeah, she might
gets
be next.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, again, I don't force music or anything onto them like that at all, but if they show interest, then I'll definitely help guide her and help show her how to get down and all this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? Because that's kind of my approach too. My wife and I, we just, we're kind of on the same page as far as just let them try stuff out. The age that our kids are at, again, like you said, don't force anything. Mm-hmm. If they gravitate or take an interest in something, then we'll support it and nurture it. You know what I'm saying? If it's something that they want to get better at. What about you guys?
I mean, I always felt my parents, wanted good things for me, but I didn't really have a choice. I didn't want to play piano.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether or not I ultimately liked, I ended up loving basketball. All good. But I think there's a certain amount of pushing you have to do for your kids, and understanding sometimes this one needs to be pushed.
Yeah.
That one's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They both need to be pushed.
Right.
And you have to put things in front of them, but you have to also give them a little push, because you never know what's one season of ball gonna hurt. What's one art class gonna hurt. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, you have to be just really in touch with your kids, and I just remember that feeling of dude, it was just such a chore to practice piano. I was in trouble all the time. Who the fuck's gonna be creative and love that with that kind of energy? You know what I mean? So I've never forced things on it. But there have been times I've pushed. Nico will thank me later, but he took a year of drum lessons. He may not realize it, but he applies it all the time, and he gets up on the drums anytime he wants and fucks it up. I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, that's just going to play a role in what he's doing in some sort of abstract way. Yeah. But I'm glad I pushed him to do that. Yeah. I didn't expect him to become Questlove, but I knew he could do it and had rhythm. And, maybe later, all these polyrhythms he can do, he'll thank me later for that little push. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm thanking you now. That's a good job, Dad.
What about you, D?
Well,
with the girls?
I'm pretty open to whatever they want to do. I'm not going to push, you need to try this. I brought the girls here to try, the kids class, just to kind of, get their feet wet and see if they like it. And they realize how hard it is to actually DJ, to do a baby scratch, to throw in on the one,
Right.
So I think that forced them to have an appreciation for what we do, just in general.
For sure.
But, their interest at that time weren't into DJing. I'm not forceful. They're more into, Ariana Grande and, just whatever, music.
Right.
So I'm letting them explore whatever they want to do, and I'm super supportive. Me and my wife are both supportive of what they want to try. And if they want to come back and learn DJing, you know what I mean? I'm open to it.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, right? They can come back anytime. Word up.
I still have hopes for Nikko and Micah to pick it up. They're already going to inherit some sick records and a gang of equipment and stuff. So, and I know Nikko and Micah both at the least have an appreciation for music and the arts and just creativity, which, I think not to get too personal, but I live in suburbia. You know what I'm saying? I live outside the city, and to be honest with you, and I wish. But to be honest with you, the people we're around, they're hardworking, blue collar, 9-to-5ers of all different backgrounds. But a lot of them probably don't have time to talk to their kids about creativity and using that part of the brain. And that's where I feel, I really feel like I'm blessed to have that with my kids, is just to be able to share, that alternative of not being such a worker bee. You know what I mean? I get scared of my kids sometimes. I know they got to have a little structure and learn how to do math and read and all that good stuff. But there's not enough of that in school sometimes for me. And I'm glad I'm able to I was able to give my kids a creative outlet and a look at alternative lifestyles as alternative to what's being shoved down their throat every day at school or in the media. So at the end of the day, guys, I think the biggest takeaway is being a parent should come first and foremost. But I think something we all haven't mentioned that we all realize, to be a good person about anything, we have to take care of ourselves first.
That's right.
Mentally, physically, whatever it is. And for me, that's where the balance comes into play. Sometimes there's moments where I really want to scratch, I really want to make a beat, but I have to really look at the grand perspective here and be like, no, I need to go to bed because I have my kids in school tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow in the middle of the day I'll have that time to get busy and work on that scratch I've been having trouble on. Right? So, those of you who are parenting out there and DJing, don't worry. It's a struggle, but it's a beautiful struggle. And you got to work harder, not smarter. And sometimes you got to sacrifice and,
smart choices. Make smart choices.
Sacrifice some video games and sleeping in, and you know what I mean. Maybe fantasy football league this year ain't as big a deal as working on your craft and spending time with your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Pay attention to your kids, y'all, for real. It's about this DJ thing for real, but at the same time, pay attention to your kids. Very, very important.
Yeah, just stay connected. Right? Yeah, I think that's
Yeah. Shout out to my kids, Christian and Amanda, and my granddaughter Izzy. Love you all.
Yeah. Shout out to all the kids.
Shouts out to all our kids. Shouts out to all our fellow DJ dads out there, because that's what we're talking about.
Salute.
Yep.
Salute, fellas.
Too many of you to name, but we love y'all.
Yes, we do.
We give you props for continuing to be awesome parents. All of you guys out there, remember, put the kids first and foremost, and then and then we could worry about our art and our, and our livelihood. But remember to take care of yourselves, because we can't be our best us without being right. Yeah, so
that's right.
Find that balance, put your life in perspective, and try to make those good decisions. And hopefully you can still DJ and be an awesome parent at the same time.
It's possible. Look at us. We're doing it.
Yeah. I feel like we should shout out all the wives and the moms too.
Definitely.
That do a lot.
Thank you.
I mean,
they go above and beyond.
Yeah, we got to thank all the aunties, all the uncles,
grandfathers,
all the grandmas and grandpas, Lolos and Lolas, and
any help you can get.
Family.
You know what I'm saying?
Support system.
The support system is something also I think we all discovered is what enables us to be able to do this and our kids be okay and us be okay. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, another episode of Building Better DJs. DJ Dads.
DJ Dads.
Whoa. All right. But but thanks for tuning in again, guys. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Building Better DJs with the Beat Junkies. Remember, our record pool, www.beatjunkies.com. Our online school, beatjunkies.tv, and everything about the Beat Junkie Institute sound, beatjunkiesound.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're the Beat Junkies signing off for another episode of Building Better DJs. Babu.
Mr. Choc.
Melo-D.
D Styles.
Thanks, y'all. See you guys next time.
Bye, kids.
Bye, kids.